All right, welcome to this explainer. Today we're going to unpack the really deep meaning and honestly, the fascinating history behind a huge celebration in the Christian calendar, the Solemnity of All Saints. So, at the very heart of this whole thing is this powerful idea, a metaphor, really, that our life on earth, it's a pilgrimage. I mean, just think about that for a second. We're all travelers, right? On this long and, let's be real, sometimes super winding journey, all heading towards somewhere. Because let's be honest, this journey is not always a straight line, is it? It's just so easy to get turned around, to get completely bogged down by all the struggles and worries of everyday life. And then suddenly you realize you've kind of lost sight of where you were even headed in the first place. And really, this whole idea of a difficult journey, well, that's the foundation for everything we're about to talk about. It really sets the stage for understanding why we might need some help, some guidance along the way. You know, the source material puts it this way. Without some kind of map or guide, we're basically just wandering around blind. All those daily worries, the temptations, the stuff that weighs us down, they're like chains. Seriously, they can chain our souls right to the earth, making us totally forget that we have this incredible final destination. Okay, so here's the good news. This pilgrimage, you don't have to do it alone. Not at all. The tradition tells us that there are guides for the way. Actual people who have already walked this path, who have faced the exact same struggles we do, and who actually made it to the end. And that, right there, is the call of the saints. They're basically shouting back to us, follow us, we've gone before you and reached the goal, so walk in our footsteps. They're not these distant, untouchable figures. Think of them more like fellow travelers who finished the hike and are now acting like living, breathing signposts, pointing us in the right direction. So what happens when we can't hear that call? You know, when it just gets drowned out by all the noise of daily life? Well, that's where the church steps in with this powerful yearly reminder to just stop, look up, and refocus. And I gotta say, I love this imagery. The feast is presented as a heavenly harvest. You know, like a farmer gathering all the crops into the barn at the end of the season. This day is our chance to see the spiritual harvest, to lift our eyes from the ground for a minute and see all the countless souls gathered in the eternal barn. It's this incredible vision of our ultimate destiny. Okay, so this feast really has three big goals. First up, it's about honoring all the saints, and that's key, especially the huge number of them who are totally unknown, right? Their names aren't on any calendar. Second, it's about benefiting from their combined prayers. A pretty powerful thought. And third, and this might be the most important one for us, it's to inspire us to follow their example and, strive for that same holiness. And to really get why we need a day like this, just look at the numbers. The scale is just, wow. There are an estimated 17 million Christian martyrs worldwide. Just think about that. There is no way, it's literally impossible to give each one of them their own feast day. So having one single day to honor them all, it's not just a nice idea, it's an absolute necessity. So where did this tradition even come from? Well, it didn't just pop up out of nowhere. It actually has these really fascinating origins that go all the way back to ancient Rome. Okay, check out this timeline because it shows this incredible transformation. It all starts way back around 27 BC with the Pantheon in Rome. It was built to honor all the pagan gods. Fast forward to 608 AD, Pope Boniface IV does something brilliant. He takes this pagan temple and consecrates it to the Virgin Mary and all the Christian martyrs. Just an amazing move, right? Turning a symbol of paganism into a Christian holy site. Then, a couple hundred years later, around 835, Pope Gregory IV makes it official for everyone, establishing November 1st as the feast day for all saints. So that begs the question, right? How did they do it? How did these saints actually make it to the finish line? Well, it's not some big unsolvable mystery. The sources actually give us a kind of playbook, a step-by-step guide. So here's the path the saints followed, broken down into 5 steps. Step 1, set your sights on heaven. Really develop a deep desire for it and learn to let go of fleeting worldly stuff. Step 2 is the good fight. You gotta actively battle temptation, discipline yourself, and this is so important, get back up every single time you fall. Step 3, be faithful in the small things. Practice being conscientious in the little day-to-day stuff because that's what builds the strength for the big challenges. Step 4 is to imitate the ultimate model. Jesus. Look to him for humility, patience, mercy, all of it. And finally, step 5, seek divine help. You can't do it alone. You've got to rely on the strength you find in prayer, the sacraments, and the intercession of Mary. Okay, so that's the personal journey to becoming a saint. But what about the official path? Let's take a look at how the church actually formalizes this today. It's a really specific multi-stage process.
It's a 4-stage process, and it shows just how seriously the church takes this. Stage 1. A person's life is investigated, and they're called a servant of God. If the church decides they lived a life of what's called heroic virtue, they move to stage 2 and become venerable. Now for stage 3, things get really interesting. A first miracle has to be officially attributed to their intercession. If that happens, they become blessed. And finally, stage 4. After a second confirmed miracle, the Pope can declare them a saint, which means they're in heaven and can be honored by the whole church.
And that really leaves us with one final and maybe the most important thought. The source is so clear about this. The saints were not superheroes. They were weak, flawed, and even sinful people, just like us. So if they were ordinary people, what makes their path worth even looking at today? If they started from the same place we're at, what can their extraordinary journey teach us about our own? What makes their struggle and ultimately their victory something that's worth thinking about in our own lives right now?